more people to hang around. We'll get started. Thank you, Brother Charles, for coming down from LA. I'm excited because we're starting to get more authors to come in. And you know, it's a powerful thing to write a book. But some people can't even write a page. You know, so and that's something good, especially we'll get with it, black folk, when we were denied the right to even write. It's powerful in this day and age to even put your pen to a pad. I'm just so excited to have him and Deborah here. I'm going to read their bios, and they're going to take it from here. My name is Jimmy. I work here at the Malcolm X Library. And if you get time, come back. If you've been around, grab our calendar, because like tonight, we got free Latin dance, yoga, lots of things. And if you know anybody that has time from 12 to 1, Monday to Friday, we have a free summer cafe for the kids. Anybody under 18 can have lunch for free. And we need help serving it. So if you can do that 1 hour, you can do 1 time a week, 2 times, whatever. It's real easy. We just do it for 1 hour during the week. If you want to help us, I won't fight your feet. I need you. So first up, Miss Deborah Bates Moore. Actually, we read my junior here. And brother, thank you, Charles, for this, because I need this. Because I need directions. Oh, you're up first. I'm gonna read Mr. Charles's bio. Very powerful stuff in here. So let's roll with this, and then Miss Deborah, and they'll take over from there. Charles L. Freeman Jr. is a Los Angeles-based writer with over 25 years of multifaceted experience in the entertainment industry. Charles has traveled the world with recording artists such as multiple Grammy Award winners Earth, Wind, and Fire, and the groundbreaking rapper MC Hammer. Among his many accomplishments include working on Hammer's landmark album, Please Hammer, Don't Hurt Us, the first recording that sold 10 million units in a calendar year, and helping to conceive concert and television appearances that were seen by millions all over the world. Additionally, Charles was an executive who won several awards for his innovative marketing campaigns for both record sales and concert tour merchandising. He was part of the marketing team behind the 2007 Pro Football Hall of Fame induction of Dallas Cowboy great Michael Irvin, and a volunteer blogger for the Obama presidential campaigns in 2008 and 2012. After leaving the music industry, Charles continued to develop his writing skills. He's had several scripts for both film and television optioned, including 2 by former Paramount TV Network Vice President Rose Catherine Pickney. Charles served as the production manager of the NAACP Image Awards pre-show in 1999 and 2000, and coordinated the show's first nominee luncheon gala. He also served as executive producer, Hamilton Cloud's liaison to the recording industry for several years. Also in 2000, this little fan is bothering me. You know, it may be getting hot, but this bio is so powerful it needs to be heard. So I'm gonna let the fan creak on its own. Okay. I think y'all can deal with the heat a little bit. We'll work it out. Also in 2000, he was a researcher and segment producer for the Democratic National Convention's in-house channel, Democracy Live. In this capacity, Charles wrote and produced the very well-received Friends of Al Gore panel show, which was hosted by Academy Award-nominated director Rob Reiner. Charles is a 1973 graduate of Samuel F. B. Morris High and an Air Force veteran. He is the owner of Mariposa Entertainment Group in Los Angeles, California. The reunion, which we're here tonight to learn about, is a story of 4 lifelong friends, Lorenzo Taylor, Rudy Patterson, DeWitt Stewart, and Reese Ellis, attending their 20-year. On that note, I will. Ms. Deborah's going to read that part, so I'm going to read her bio, and then we will get started with the author talk. Deborah Bates Moore is a true Navy brat. Was born and raised in San Diego, California. She graduated from Samuel F. Morris High School also in board of directors for the Big Sister League of San Diego and the San Diego School of Success. She resides in San Diego for 131 years. Let's both let's give them a hand, y'all.
Thank you first to Jimmy, who arranged this. Jimmy and I met on the Facebook page, I Had This Is O, which is a page for a former teacher we had at Morris High School, Pat Oishiku.
Okay, so I'd like to start the evening by reading a brief synopsis from the book. How many of you have had the chance to read it? Anyone? Okay, well, for those of you who have not, you'll be in for a treat tonight. Okay. The reunion is the story of four lifelong friends: Lorenzo Taylor, Rudy Patterson, DeWitt Stewart, and Reese Ellis, attending their 20-year high school reunion in San Diego, California. It's also the tale of two love stories, one that involves a long marriage, Rudy and Patricia Patterson, and one that involves two people, Lorenzo and his high school sweetheart, Tina Davis, who broke up years ago and still have unresolved issues between them. Over the course of the weekend, the four friends will catch up with each other and come to grips with a past tragedy that strengthens the bond between them. Rudy reveals a deeply held secret about his marriage, while Lorenzo grapples with making a decision that will change the direction of his life, both professionally and personally. Okay, Charles, you ready?
I did all that.
Yeah, that sounds good on paper, huh? Okay, so as we can see from your bio, you've successfully written several scripts for film and television. What made you decide to try your hand in writing novels?
Desperation.
Like to eat?
It's his favorite activity of mine, as you probably can tell. What happened is, I actually wrote this originally as a film story. It was optioned once, and in the world of development in Hollywood, it didn't get made. And about a year or so ago, I was going through my files, trying to figure out what I was going to do with different things, and I decided to novelize this. And figuring that, well, maybe I can back my way into a film script. You know, maybe if I write the book and get it out there. I don't know if novelize is actually a word. I may have made it up. But, and I thought, well, I've already written the film, so how, it's going to be easy to write the book. Well, that was wrong. Because when you write a film script, you're actually just setting up the dialogue. Like, I could say, Grace walked into the room. Well, in the film, you're going to see what Grace is wearing, what the room looks like, and everything. In a book, you have to tell them. So it turned out to be a lot harder than I thought it was, but in a sense, it turned out to be much more rewarding.
Now, it's rare to see such a refreshing, feel-good novel such as The Reunion. What was your inspiration for the concept and the storyline?
Well, I grew up here in San Diego. As you know, Charles knows, we grew up at a time here in San Diego where neighborhoods and friends were really, you knew everybody elementary on. You went to church with people, your mother knew somebody. And I grew up off, the last house we lived in was off of Division, where San Diego and National City kind of run together. And, that neighborhood, we had friends. You knew guys, you knew people all your life. And it's just that lifelong bond. And I just wanted to write something about, usually a romantic novel tends to be from the woman's point of view. Or even when a guy writes it, it's for the woman. I wanted to write something that also had romance, obviously, but also had something about friendship among men.
Okay. Now, the four main characters are successful African-American men. Lorenzo Taylor's a music executive. Rudy Patterson's a very successful attorney. DeWitt Stewart, he's an ex-juvenile delinquent turned televangelist, who's nationally known. And then you have Reese Ellis, who's the marketing executive for Coca-Cola. I really love the way you've explored the relationships between them and their loyalty and love for one another. We don't really get to see that too much nowadays.
No, that's sad. The media would like you to believe that men of color and people of color don't have those type of bonds and everything. And I know I'm still in touch with, remember Curtis Mingo? I talked to Curtis. Curtis works night with the post office. Curtis calls me at 1 o'clock in the morning. What you doing? I can't help that you're bored. But, and I have friends that we have breakfast once a week, once a month in LA. So it's about friendship and like lifelong friends. And that, as you get more seasoned, that becomes even more important.
Right, definitely. Well, can you describe the process of developing the characters and their interrelationships?
Yeah, I always start, when I worked for Earth, Wind & Fire, I was, part of my job, I was Maurice White, who's the founder and leader, producer. I was his personal assistant for 2.5 years. And I got a chance to really observe and be in the studio with him and everything, and he gave me a lot of lessons and things that didn't really always sink in then, but now. He told me that when he started to write a song, he knew how to start it and end it. It was inside out that he had to bring. And when I took this film script and tried to turn it into a book, I had the beginning, I had the ending, I had the middle, but I really didn't have the book at that time. So I, went back and I found my old outlines and everything, and then I just wrote character profiles for each main character. And I did my outline again based on that. And I write longhand to get me going. I take a long legal pads, my ink pen, and I just write. And then I start typing it into the computer and everything. And after I get going, after a couple of chapters, I don't usually have to go back to the I get the flow going. But I have my index cards, each card on my drywall wall above my office, my desk. I have character notes for everybody. And it's important to keep track of that stuff because you can't have a character do something on page 8 and he wouldn't have done on page 20.
Right. That's for the flow.
Yeah, but people I've worked with, people I've known, people I've observed. There's one character in there, Sylvia Andrews, who most people think is this person in the music industry.
Yes, Sylvia Rome, that's what I got.
Yes, and someone told me that Sylvia was going to sue me behind if she ever read it. And I said, wow, that would be terrible, but I hope she does. Because if she does, it means they get some attention. That would bring more attention. But I just tried to flesh out the characters so that they would be believable and that people would identify with them, whether they liked them or not, as long as they identified with them and said, oh, I see that, or understand.
And as a reader, that's one of the things that drew me into the story, was your characterizations and the use of familiar places and situations and circumstances. And with that thought, it reminded me a lot of Walter Mosley. I'm a fan of his, and I found a lot of similarities in the writing.
Wow, thank you. That's a hell of a compliment.
Was he an influence?
Probably subconsciously. I mean, I love his work. I love his work. I didn't study him per se for this. What I did for this to get ready is I went and got other romantic novels. Camilla Lawson Rogan, Eric Jerome Dickey, Zane, people like that, to get a feel for how the writing style is, what fonts they use, and things of that nature.
Okay, would you be so kind as to read a selection for us from the book?
Well,
No, interested in
Please,
that?
your favorite passage.
well, my favorite prologue.
Well, that
Yeah, my
kind
favorite chapter can't be done.
in a mixed crowd.
Yeah, that's a little racy. We don't want Tina to blush.
Since she's involved in that scene, right?
Well, the prologue, since most of you haven't read it, will kind of set it up for you and everything. Excuse me. Music industry executive Lorenzo Chox Taylor awoke drenched in sweat at 4:30 in the morning. Darkness engulfed the master bedroom suite of this palatial, tri-level Hollywood Hills home. His neighborhood of winding streets and secluded houses hidden behind high gates and walls was quiet in the hours before dawn in Los Angeles. He sat upright in bed, listening to the silence, his mind racing with thoughts of where his life might be headed in the next few weeks. It was mid-August 2013, and during the coming weekend, he'd be attending his 20-year high school reunion in San Diego, California, an event that Lorenzo was eyeing with a combination of excitement and dread. The former because he'd be seeing his old crew, 4 guys that he had known practically all his life, and who called him Chops because of his childhood love of the vitamins of the same name. And the latter because Lorenzo realized that this milestone put him just 2 short years away from the big 4-0. He tried to find out if his old girlfriend, Tina Davis, was attending, but so far, her name wasn't on the list of those who registered. Then there was tonight. For the first time in 10 years, Lorenzo was looking for a new job. It wasn't that he wanted a new job per se. Generally speaking, he was happy with his current. And under normal circumstances, he wouldn't think of leaving the company where he'd spent the past 10 years of his very successful career. A career that had brought Lorenzo a long, long way from his days as a struggling freelance songwriter, producer. The circumstances were no longer normal at Wilshire Records, a year after the company's sale to a Japanese conglomerate. Lorenzo, used to doing pretty much whatever he wanted when it came to getting his artist projects completed, was growing increasingly frustrated with the monetary restrictions imposed by the new owners. And if the rumors he was hearing about even more cost-cutting measures once the current company-wide review was finally finished were true, things were probably going to get worse before they got better. 3 months ago, when he'd asked his lawyer, Philip Walker, to discreetly look around and see if there were any available jobs at other record companies that he might consider pursuing, Lorenzo figured nothing would really interest him. He knew that positions for a senior level executive with his track record were far and few between and seldom came over, particularly not on the West Coast. Plus, he wanted to spend more time in the studio, producing tracks for at least 2 to 3 artists a year, and that might be a deal breaker for many companies. So, when Philip called 3 days ago and said that Sylvia Andrews, the beautiful and ruthlessly ambitious president of Montclair Records, the top label in the business for the past 5 years, wanted to meet with him, Lorenzo was intrigued. Known as a sharp executive, Andrews had the reputation of being a fierce competitor and ruthless operator who felt right at home among her male counterparts in the rough and tumble world of the music business. While he never worked with her, Lorenzo had met Sylvia at several events such as award shows and other music industry functions and admired her accomplishments. The only real drawback was that even though Montclair had an office in LA, their headquarters was in New York, and Lorenzo had no real desire to move there. As he stripped the sweat-soaked sheets and pillowcases from his bed, Lorenzo thought about the meeting he and Philip were scheduled to have that evening with Sylvia. He figured that she must have something in mind, even though he or Philip hadn't been able to find out exactly what it might be. But they were both convinced that she did, because Sylvia Andrews wasn't known as someone who wasted her valuable time having a meeting just to have it. Unable to fall back asleep as dawn approached, Lorenzo decided to go for a run around nearby Lake Hollywood. As the sun came up over the city that had been home to him for the past 15 years, he ran and listened to old school R&B on his iPhone. Exercise always put Lorenzo in a good frame of mind, and after logging 3 miles on the circuitous, I wrote a word I shouldn't have done. Thank you. Path around the lake, it was with a much clearer head than he walked home. Yeah, I don't have to read. As he soaked in his jacuzzi tub and watched SportsCenter on the flat screen TV mounted on the wall in front of him, Lorenzo was hit with a sudden electric thought. What would he do if Sylvia Andrews actually offered him a job tonight?
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Now, number 1 question, are you Lorenzo?
Lorenzo drives a BMW convertible. I've never owned a BMW. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
But there are parts of me.
So you pull from different areas of your life and your experiences, maybe?
The ones where the statute of limitations have run.
Okay. Okay, well, the reunion, it's a universal story. It has several themes, from romance to achieving the American dream. You have interracial couples, blended families. What do you feel is the most important aspect and the deepest message in the story?
Even though it's a love story, that ultimately in the end, it's about friendship, it's about loyalty, it's about people caring about one another in their lives. Throughout the book, Lorenzo finds out that his friends truly care about him, and on different levels. And even within the 4 guys, there was actually a 5th guy, and who had died 2 years before the reunion. And this is part of the reason why they're all getting back together. This is their first time together since his funeral. And that's one of the things that they have to deal with, because they truly, especially Lorenzo, has not come to grips with the death of their friend. And throughout this, there's a pecking order. Rudy's the alpha male of this group, no matter what. And within the 4, Rudy and Lorenzo are the closest. But DeWitt and Reese have their own little thing going to as friends. But they're all caring about each other, and they all know that Lorenzo's going through some stuff. And they support each other, even though like Lorenzo and Rudy on the West Coast, DeWitt's in DC with his church, but he travels all the time, and Reese being in Atlanta. But there's a bond there that started in San Diego and will never be broken between these 4 guys.
Now I think I'd like to touch on some more technical aspects of writing.
Oh, okay.
Are there any aspiring writers out there? Has anyone published anything?
I know
Just little.
Don't be shy. Okay, well, he's here. At the end, we will have a Q&A session. Pick his brain. Find out what you can from him. Okay, so now with that in mind, how many drafts of your manuscript were there?
Man, you know, I would say 15. Because I actually finished the book at one point, and I concocted a rubric to get people to tell me what they thought about the book. And friends will tell you that you're great, and they're your friend. So what I did was I put another name on it. I told my friends I was doing this for a client by the name of Dennis Leonard. And that way I got true feedback from him. And after I finished, what I thought I had finished the book, and I looked at the feedback and everything, I realized I had not finished it. So from that point on, it was probably maybe 6 drafts after that. And
After the 15? Or
No.
That's included?
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
the final, but like I would say to get to the book where it was pretty much complete was 9, maybe 9 or 10, and after that, probably another 5 or 6.
What were some of the challenges? Because you mentioned that you did start with the script that you converted to the novel, for
Right.
lack of a better word.
Right.
So that itself must have been a challenge.
That was because I had to go back. At one point, I thought I was going to be able to cut and paste my way through this book. And the only person that truly believed that was me.
As your feedback told
And it turns out I had lied to myself. I had to basically, like I said, I kept the beginning, the end, and wrote it from the inside out. And the main challenge was I had gone back to school full time. And so I developed a pattern where my writing hours on this book were from 3 to 6 a.m. And if I got those 3 hours in every day, Monday through Friday, I was good. Because anything else was a bonus. But that was my goal. I had my coffee maker on timer. And by the way, folks, put the lid on your coffee maker so that you don't wake up to a pool of coffee and coffee grounds on your counter and on the floorboard.
At 3 in the morning.
Yeah. Because it smelled different than it was. It just wasn't the music journalist by the name of Stephen Ivory. And he told me, and I said this in the acknowledgments, he gave me the best advice anybody's ever given me about writing. He told me to take my ego out.
What?
Take my ego out of it. And once I figured out what that was, first off, after I stopped being mad, then I cursed him out. Then I thought about what he said. And once I understood what he meant, it really started to flow. And the main challenge was just doing it every day.
What about writer's block?
Yes.
There were times when you just sat there and looked at the paper.
Yes. Especially when I realized that I had to start again. it took me a good week to really find my stride. I'm fortunate though that once I get going, I can just sit there and I can put in the time and out, and you just have to put it in. But yeah, writer's block is tough. I mean, because everybody, I don't care what anybody says, I don't care who the writer is, whatever. You always, because you go, and you have to get away from it. You go for a run, you go walk, go shoot. I've shot games in the pool, I'll just clear my head.
Okay. So you spend all this time writing, you go through your writer's block, you've got your 15 changes, so now you're finished. At what point in the process did you decide that you were going to self-publish? Well, let me back up. What is self-publishing? What exactly does that mean?
Self-publishing can be done on many levels, but for me, it meant finding a service that takes your book, helps you, depending on how much you want to spend, helps you format it, put it together. I use CreateSpace, which is part of Amazon.com, and I chose it because I like their royalty rate and the support they give you. But everybody has to make their own choice. But basically, I own my book. I own the copyright. It's mine. It's what they call print order. They print the books as they get ordered.
Okay.
And mail them out to everything. But once I decided to write the book, it was always going to be self-published.
And why was that?
Because today, technology has made it possible for creative people to cut out the middleman to a great degree. And if you're willing to invest in yourself, you can do pretty much anything via the internet now. And this cost me, the cover artwork was done by a student at Trade Tech College in LA where I went. All total to get the book ready, package, I had to buy about $450. Now, there have been other costs since then, but I've looked at this as a long-term project, and I actually work harder now promoting the book and getting it out there than you do. I mean, something every day you're trying to get people to see it, get eyeballs in front of it. Fortunately for me, and I hope this doesn't come across being immodest, when people read it, they like it. So my challenge is to get more people to read it.
Spread the word.
Yeah. And but self-publishing, there's this conception out there that you can self-publish for nothing, and you almost can. But I've been fortunate enough to get this book in 2 bookstores in Los Angeles. SO1, which is the #1 African-American owned bookstore, and another bookstore in Inglewood called Zahara's. And they're nationally known. And my goal was for my self-published book not to look self-published. And I think I accomplished that. People taking it on consignment. So I didn't want to wait around and go through the normal, you send it out to publishers and they come back with no and everything. No doesn't mean it's not good. I worked for MC Hammer. That guy was rejected by every single record label, including Capitol Records, who eventually signed him. And it didn't mean that he wasn't good, he couldn't sell records, it's just they had to find that one person to say yes.
It's like timing too, I would imagine.
Oh yeah.
The focus could be in a different direction at this point.
I mean, it's politics. 1997, 98, I had a TV script that was optioned by Paramount through Montel Williams Production Company. Believe it or not, I had a show that Montel Williams was going to play in a sitcom. And he was going to be a bachelor father to his 3 nieces. And we got all the way to, I had a deal, I had an agent to give me this deal. They had found an executive producer / showrunner from another show. I don't know if you guys remember a show that LL Cool J had called In One House.
In the house.
In the house. Deborah, well, I can't remember the woman's name, but she was the writer producer, so they assigned her to me. We got all the way to script. And then the lady who ran, I don't know if you guys remember UPN Network, a lady by the name of Lucy Salhaney, whose name I will never forget ever, decided that her life in LA would not be complete without her husband who lived in Boston. So instead of him quitting his job and moving to Boston, she quit her job and moved to Boston. And when they brought in the new people, they took everything that was in development and just said, and it was really rough because I had been told through my agent that Montel, being who he was, he had a hot, talk to at the time, he was going to survive it. So I'd already bought the house, the car. No, it was close. I mean, it was close, man. I mean, I already had my image award and image award. I knew who I was going to thank. I knew who I wasn't going to thank.
Who you were going to marry too, perhaps?
Never had that. I had somebody who thought they were going to marry me. She still does. But yeah, so it's tough, man. I mean, there are people in LA who live in development land and make a very good living doing it. But and I don't do this for money. I don't think you should do anything creative. Anytime I've done anything creative for money, it's backfired. I mean, I got paid, but it was like crap. I didn't want to do it. I was like all the whole time. Yeah, but the lure of Hollywood is that it can be life changing. How many people have seen CSI? Okay, the guy that created that show was driving a tram at the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas when somebody told him about that Vegas forensic team. He said, "Oh man, this sounds like something." He did a couple ride-alongs with that thing, and he wrote a script that got picked up. And this is God's truth. The day that they decided to what that season new shows were going to be, it came down to CSI and a show that was going to star Tony Danza. And Les Moonves, the head of CBS, just said, "I cannot watch another goddamn show with Tony Danza." He said, "I ain't got nothing."
Gotta edit that one out.
Don't want to watch another show. And they picked CSI. Wow. CSI is the #1 drama in the world. CBS Distribution has made over $4 billion selling that movie, that show around the world. Then you add in CSI Miami, CSI New York. Anthony Zucker may now go buy the Luxor where he used to drive the train. I mean, it can just change your life financially and otherwise. And my goal is, I hope to get this money into a movie. But I'm also working on some other things with TV.
Pray for you, bro.
Thank you. But my goal is, I just want to bring quality work out. Maurice White told me one time, I worked with some of the members of the band before they went on hiatus in '83, but then I went back to work for them in '87. And we were in Atlanta one day, it was an off day, he was going to play tennis, and I was with him. And I said, "Maurice, when this thing was really at its peak and everything, what was the best thing?" And I'm thinking he's going to say awards, money, women, all that. He said, "Man, I have a band that can let me do anything I want, anytime I want." And I can tell you, from having worked with those guys, been in the studio with different artists and everything, there's nothing like watching an audience respond to great music. There's nothing like watching an audience respond to a great play, music, movie. I just graduated from Los Angeles Trade Tech College, which is a community college in LA. And we had an event last December when the book first came out, and my English professor, Mr. Mancia, who really encouraged me and promised me that he put the book in his curriculum this spring. I'm walking across campus, oh God, it had to be March or April. And I know this is gonna sound stereotypical, but this was the last person I expected to say anything about me writing a romance novel, because it's in the bookstore at school. Young dude, hip hop looking, the beats and everything. I'm walking to campus, he goes, "Hey, writer dude." I was kind of like, and I said, "No, writer dude." And I said, "Well, maybe he's talking." And being one of the older students on campus, I get called OG, "Hey, Mr. Freeman." I mean, nobody ever calls me Charles. Matter of fact, we were talking about something one time in class, and the guy turned to me and said, "How old are you?" But I have been introduced to two of my classmates' mothers. color, so. But I said, yeah, what's up? He goes, hey man, I bought your book for my mama. That was some good shit, man. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm walking to class, I'm going, who would have thought? But I mean, it was like, I'm writer dude now.
Yeah.
You know, and man, there's nothing like hearing people like your work. I mean, it's really gratifying. It's humbling too, but a friend of mine who I did not expect to read, but he read it, and he's like, hey man, you know, when Lorenzo did so and so now, you know, I didn't read that. I'm like, you read the book? Yeah, man, I read the book. Did your wife read the book? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, man, but check this out. I was blown. It was Greg, Nathan. Greg Irie. I was just blown away. And the other thing is, a friend of mine's niece wrote an essay for the English class, and she broke down.
When I said to you, I was like, did you
I brought
realize?
this. I mean, she brought out these whole sociological implications and everything, and I'm like, dude, we're trying to get laid.
She did. That was a great review.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was one of the better ones. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
I plan on turning that into movie studio.
Yeah, definitely. So is there a sequel or a prequel in the works?
Wow, some people who have read the book, some people want me to do a prequel. How these guys got there. I did leave a natural ending, you know, for a sequel. Right now, I'm rewriting the film version of it. But they're probably, if I do write another book anytime, probably. Excuse me, I almost know in my mind already what I would do.
Okay. We look forward to that. Now, you have touched on this a bit. Do you think there's a chance it can make it to the big screen?
Well,
Are you attempting to, are you shopping it around at all?
right now, there are 2 studio executives that have it. A famous singer who wants to be a movie producer has it, John Legend. And you know, it was really interesting. The world of the social media puts you in contact with people you don't know. His wife, Chrissy Teigen, I follow her on Twitter, and she curses people out. She's crazy. But somebody retweeted my thing about my book to her, and I got a direct message from her going, "Oh, can I get a copy of your book?" And that's how she sounds. It's just how I see she sounds. But you know, so we are talking to a few people.
Okay.
And you know, it would be incredible to see this. But I gotta say this: if nothing else happens, the fact that I can say whenever I see somebody put the word author in front of my name, it still kind of like throws me like, what are they talking about?
Very gratifying.
Yeah, oh man, I mean, you know, hey, I'm an author. Also, seeing your book in bookstores is also pretty good thrill. A friend of mine was in SOI about a month ago, didn't know my book was there because he doesn't read his emails. But he called me and said, "Hey man, I just bought your book at SOI. Man, I saw your book, I had to buy it." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Man, your book was on sale." You know, so I was like, okay, you know, but that is interesting. You know, yeah, it's a great feeling.
Okay, well, at this point, I think we'll open up the floor for audience questions. You all have any questions for the author?
I guess I can start.
Okay, yeah.
Good seeing you. We're Tigers, and I've never seen you, never met you, but we correspond on
Okay.
Facebook.
What class you from?
1976.
Oh, I'm 73, Charles.
Oh, okay, yeah, and it's really intriguing and interesting listening to you.
And I appreciate you coming out too.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I apologize, but I had my son at home and his girlfriend was out of the house and I couldn't leave him there. My wife was coming, you know. So and she wanted to come, but when the girl came out, we just couldn't have that.
Oh, okay.
And so, but I'll say that I haven't had a chance to read, but I'm definitely gonna get the book. And he mentioned me as a prospective writer.
Oh, okay.
I will tell you, I'm not formally trained. I'm a critic. I'm a political kind of guy.
Oh, okay.
And I want Charles to tell me, because this isn't about me, but tell me, man, when I write, does it, to you, when we write politics and we correspond, does it have an impact on people?
Oh, yeah, it definitely resonates. I mean, we don't always agree, but usually we do.
You don't have to. It's about
No,
writing.
no,
Right.
but Ronnie, right, we're in the same Facebook group. I have Mrs. O, and we have some crazy people. And we have one racist white guy, I swear to God.
Oh.
I really want to kill him. And I don't mean that like jokingly. I really want to kill him. He tries to pretend that he likes President Obama, but you got that family on you.
Yeah, I feel it.
He tried, anyway. Ronnie has some, we all, we get in there, we write and stuff and everything, or like sometimes we just go, but yeah, man, your stuff, it's obvious that you think about it, but it's also that you come from a different level. I mean, there's some really superficial people in that group, and just say something, you just go, you're allowed to drive a car. But I mean, it gets deep, But I found out when I was really blogging more actively, man, the internet is full of a lot of things, but the great thing about that is that you can express your opinion. And your opinion matters because it's yours. And whether people agree with it or not, sometimes I'm glad when people don't agree with it. Because I know sometimes I write stuff and I scare myself. But that's what I believe. But also people hide. Computer makes a lot of people brave.
It's called Facebook bravery.
Right.
Facebook courage.
Yes.
Stuff they would never say to another person face
Right.
to face. But I really appreciate you coming out. And as far as the writing thing, you just have to write.
Well, I wouldn't have missed it. I promised I'd come down, and I wanted to meet you because whenever you talk about a tiger that has done some intriguing things, you want to meet them, you want to interface and see what makes them tick. And so, my question that I'm gonna open up to everybody else, is I'm dominating. I don't want to do that,
That's okay.
but what makes you? Because development of thought. How do you just start? Because I know I'll just start writing,
That's
and
how
then
you
I'll
start.
edit it. But when you look at people that are creative, it's something you can't teach. You can
Right.
refine it, you can educate it, but you can't teach it. It's something that's intrinsic. It's something that comes from you. It's God given. If you're in the God, I'm in the God, but it's God given. And I wonder sometimes when you're writing, and we talk about writer's block, we talk about there are roadblocks